When I was a kid, my parents wanted me to go to church. They didn't go to church, but they wanted me to go to church. So they sent me to a Southern Baptist church, the Baker Street Baptist Church in Urbana, Illinois. And it was a KKK church, I found out. And the scout leaders, we had our Boy Scout meetings in the basement, and I found out years later our two Boy Scout leaders were pretty high up in the Klan. I mean, I don't think they were Grand Clagans or anything, but they were pretty high up in the Klan. And all of the sermons were about fear. You know, being afraid of everybody, being afraid of Jews, being afraid of blacks. They didn't preach hatred, they preached fear. And then they let us do our own hatred. And one day they said we're going to have a Christian fellowship with another church. So two of the church couples invited me to go with them. It was out in the country. And I rode in the back with the women while the men were in the front. And we drove out into this field where there was a large cross all wrapped in rags. The cross was all wrapped in rags. And when it became dusk, they set fire to it. And we had a Sunday school lesson at the burning cross. They said the light of the burning cross drives away ignorance and darkness, and the warmth of the burning cross is God's love for you. Because the Klan is a very Christian organization. This was the old Klan before the new one, but back then, every piece of their literature had a Bible quotation at the bottom. And I think part of their name was the Christian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Anyway, so after hearing this, and these ministers got up and just talked about all this stuff about sending the nigger apes back to Africa and just terrible, hateful things, and how it was going to come a time when we're going to have to kill them and that kind of thing. And then we left. And when we left, again, I was riding in the back of the car, and at that time in Illinois, most of the highways were one lane concrete. And right in the middle of the road, this black family's car was broken down. And we pulled up to it, and I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, what were these church guys in the front going to do to this black family? And they went up and talked to them, and then they came back and opened the trunk of our car and got the spare tire out to go put onto theirs to take the place of their flat tire. And then when the black guy came back to the window, the white driver wrote out, he said, "Here's my address. Whenever you get that tire fixed, you can return it to me here." And I didn't know how to react. I don't understand. The South, or this isn't the South, it was Southern Illinois, but it was a lot like the South, and things get so complicated because we could go hunting with black people. They brought the coon hounds, and we got permission to hunt. And in a night, we would kill, 12 to 15 coons, and then we would split them up with them for food. And when we killed extra rabbits, we would take them over to them. Or if we caught extra fish, we would take over to them. But we couldn't be seen in public with each other. It's a very complicated life in a racist area. And I had friends, two black friends in junior high school. It was a half black, half white school. And I was the smallest boy in school. And in 7th grade, I was stabbed here. The knife went in there and came out here. And in 8th grade, in a gang fight, I was hooked over the shoulder for 8 inches with a razor. And one time I was being beaten up outside the school by a black gang, and my black friends had to join in kicking me because I guess they had to blend in with their gang. I'm not sure what happened there. And in another gang fights were very ritualized then. It would be after the football game, and we'd gather in this field for a gang fight, and both sides would line up until somebody threw the first punch. And since I was the smallest boy, I was usually the one to get hit. And so I finally learned this one guy punched me in the forehead, and so I fell down even though I wasn't hurt. And our side lost. So the head of the other gang came up and he said, "Okay, kid, you can get up and leave now." So anyway, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand how people could be that way, even toward each other then. And then later on, um, well, many things happened that at different points in my life. I'm not sure what made me different. Out of the 350 guys in our unit, I was the only one that wouldn't shoot little kids. I was the only one that wouldn't torture people. I would shoot the enemy, but I just refused to do that because it was wrong. It was just wrong to do that to people. And I don't think it was from religion or anything. It was just wrong. And I wasn't going to do it. And I wasn't going to do it even if they killed me. I wasn't going to do it. Mostly I made excuses to get out of it because I spoke some Vietnamese. I would pretend to question someone while they were dividing people up to be shot. I'm not saying I was brave. I got through it that way sometimes because I didn't know what else to do. There was no way I was going to shoot a little kid. It was just wrong. But I was the only one to feel that way. I don't understand that part. These other guys, some of them were Christians and things, and to them it was okay. I just don't see how that was okay. I never understood that. One of the things that might have changed me was when I was 15, I had a girlfriend who was 15, and we grew up together. They had 3 girls in their family. We were 3 boys in my family. And she was the oldest girl, I was the oldest boy. And our parents played cards all the time together. And they would talk about how she and I were going to get married someday or something. And our 2 families had to move from Illinois to Arizona together because we couldn't afford to move separately. But we could move together and then share motel rooms and stuff. We got there, and when we were 15, we hadn't had a big romance. We'd had 2 dates on church hayrides. And so then a guy rang the front doorbell, and when she answered, he shot her through the heart with a .45. And then he shot her mother, and then shot her middle sister. He had come there to kill the family, but he didn't understand Phoenix. He didn't know there were streets and avenues. So the family he was supposed to kill was on the avenue side of town. The street side of town, and my girlfriend was on the avenue side. So he had the right house number and the right street, but it was completely on the opposite side of town. But that may have started things for me. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what in my past made me not want to do these things. And everybody else, it was acceptable to them. I don't know if any of you know the answer to that mystery. I don't know. I can't figure that one out at all. Scene.